Gene gonna be on too as well?
Gene was supposed to come. He was supposed to be here. He's probably on his way.
Is that for them?
All right. Chris, Kathy's on, so you can go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Okay, very good. You okay, Aaron?
What was that, Chris?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Do you have a packet in it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and call to order the October City of Erie meeting. And I'd like to start off by Arlene, are we able?
You're
You're
cutting
cutting
in and out.
Chris. I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
This is Kathy. I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. On then to 20th meeting. Comments on the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aaron, any citizen to be heard?
No, I do not believe so.
Are no citizens on the finance report?
All right, so we provided the balance sheet and the current profit and loss for the land bank. Kelly couldn't be here today. We do have Carrie Black, who's going to be the new director of finance for the authority, but I guess I won't put her on the spot on her first day. We're working through the sale of some properties, but there really hasn't been much change to the balance sheet since the last meeting. So I guess it's as presented.
So making a motion to approve the finance report.
This is Kathy. I'll second.
Comment, Aaron, we continue to working on the balance between the land bank.
Say that again, Chris.
We continue to work down the balance, the redevelopment authority.
Yes, we did receive about $12,000 from our last disbursement request to the Erie County Land Bank. That's going to go to the authority to start to bring that down. Leaves us a balance of a little over $20,000. We did have another disbursement request on Work Plan 1, which had a admin amount of almost $3,000. So once we get that, that'll go toward that overdue balance. And then moving forward, we're going to do our due diligence to try to keep that on par with the percentage that we said on the work plan to keep that balance in and try to work down on it as best as we can.
Sounds like there's been progress on that number. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aaron, on to the...
All right. So work plan update, we're moving forward, and I can let Gene update you on some of the other ones. We have 13 properties that the orders have been completed on, and then we can start looking at and prepare those for their next process. So those ones, are noticed on the work plan update is value ordered at 0, or we do have the one at 708 Payne where we had a order of $5,000, so we will get that money over to the courthouse to satisfy that just compensation order, which will all go to past due taxes. So that's my update on the work plan. And then just a A brief update, I attended the virtual vacant and the VAT Academy. What was the dates of that? That was September 28th. It was the vacant, abandoned, and deteriorated property conference held by the Center for Community Progress. Got some good information out of it, and I'll forward around the email of some of the recorded presentations for the board members to review at their leisure. And then going forward, we have the National Land Bank Network Summit, November 3rd and 4th. I had sent that one out after the September 20th meeting. If you're interested, you can go on and register still, or I can add you as an attendee. There's some good agenda topics on there. The second day does have some board governance presentations that I feel would probably be beneficial to the board members, but you're welcome to attend any of the breakout sessions or the general sessions November 3rd and 4th. That, like I said, that's a virtual conference. And you can get registered for that as well. And then we have the Homes Within Reach conference scheduled December 1st through the 3rd. That's at the Hershey Lodge in Harrisburg. So we're going to look at possibly sending either myself or another staff member to that conference as well. So that's my executive director report for today.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the executive director report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aaron, is our solicitor?
Yes, Jean is here.
Good afternoon, everyone. What I wanted to do was to kind of bring you up to speed as to some of the properties that Aaron and I have been working on with regard to the Erie Land Bank owned properties and the sales. Some of them are going to be covered in the minutes today. 642 West 25th Street. We're waiting on a signed articles of agreement for purchase of that, but we know who is interested in buying it. We just need to get that paperwork together. So Aaron is working to get that signed. As is the situation with 550 and 554 East 25th Street. We're trying to get that agreement in place, and we're going to sit tight because we need to address back due taxes on that as to who's going to take care of that, which leads me into the next one as well. 2236 Warfield Avenue. The agreement or the understanding originally was the current owner was supposed to pay the delinquent back taxes prior to doing a quitclaim deed over to us. There's a question as to whether that current owner has the financial ability to clear those taxes up. So we're following up with that to try to make sure that issue is resolved prior to accepting the deed from the current owner. So we'll work through that as well. 2421 German Street. We're trying to confirm from the buyers who their attorney is. Once we have that, we'll be able to get the deed done and finalized for that transfer. As with 422 Poplar Street, Attorney Dave Mack, who I know real well and does an awful lot of real estate work here in the Erie area, witnessed and notarized the agreement of sale, and we're trying to confirm with him that he's going to represent the buyer on that transaction. So once we have that in place, we'll be able to turn that property around in very short order. With regard to 702 Raspberry and 521 West 3rd, Attorney Jay Alberstadt is representing the buyer. So we've reached out to him a number of times via email again this morning early to find out what type of a time frame he's working on. So we should get back from him here within very short order to get that done as well. I've laid this out in a status report that I will scan and email to Aaron so that he can then forward to all the board members so that you can follow along and see exactly where we are with regard to these 7 or 8 properties to keep them going. I have not forgotten about the conflict of interest that will be finalized here in very short order. Again, I'll forward that to Aaron for him to take a look at it. I'd like the board to take a look at it beforehand so that we can tweak it and have it finalized for the next month's meeting and integrate it into the bylaws. So that's still a work in progress, but that should be done here in very short order. We've done an extensive search with regard to similarly situated land banks and find out what, if any, their conflict policies are. So we're going to try to glean as much as we can and finalize that for the board's review and approval.
Awesome. Thanks, Gene.
Thank you, Gene. And I would just follow up with a comment. I know last month we talked about exploring how much
You cut out, Chris.
right, Aaron?
Yeah, I said you cut out. I think we missed the last like 10 seconds of what you were saying.
Last month we started to discuss what level of due diligence do we want to do as a land bank for requests coming in. I would like to follow up on that. I don't want that to fall through the cracks. I don't know if that is follow up to conflict of interest discussion. We're all kind of scattered here, but not lose sight of that.
Chris, I'm more than happy to take a look at that issue. I do remember us talking about that, and there was some debate going back and forth as to what the board's obligations and duties were with regard to kind of investigating and doing due diligence with regard to buyers. I can take a look at that issue. Again, we have access to other land bank policies through my office, so we'll be able to find that out as well. I'm wondering if maybe I should also look at what the Aaron had mentioned about I'll say the seminar or the meeting. Maybe I'll go through there and see if there are certain topics that would be beneficial, quite frankly, for me. I'm always looking to learn more and to help the board. So I'll take a look at that as well. It might very well be a situation where there's a topic that might help with regard to these issues that we're dealing with regard to anticipated property owners. So I'll take a look at that as well, and then we can continue to work through that. I agree, Chris, this is just something we should slip through the cracks because we really don't want to get caught either way with regard to new property owners. Make sure that we're towing the line and they as well on these properties that we're conveying to them. So I'll make sure that does not slip through the cracks. Chris, thank you.
Thank you, Gene, because I don't want to become to be a burden. I also can't have a revolving door of properties. We can't have ambitious plans that if they're not going to be able to carry out, we're not doing anyone.
I agree.
I still don't know what that balancing act looks like. I don't know, but I just don't want to keep kicking over the next 2 to 3.
I agree, and I think maybe that's why that seminar could at least shed some light on it. Or I've been to seminars where it's provided me with a name of an attorney who has been involved in a particular area that even after the seminar, I've emailed them and said, hey, look, here's the situation that I'm dealing with, I attended a seminar where you spoke, or you able to lead me in a certain direction, and they were always very helpful. So I'll take a look at that and see if there are those type of issues that might help us with regard to that issue of proposed or potential buyers. Absolutely.
Any other comments or questions for us?
Attorney Sundberg, just a question about the Warfel Avenue property. So where do we go from here if the owner is not able to pay those back taxes? So 2236, I think,
Yes.
Warfel?
Right, 2236 Warfield. What on my title search indicated that 19 and 20 have not been paid, and of course 21 is now due as well. So you're looking about probably a $3,000 bill for 19, 20, and 21, along with probably interest and penalties as well. So you're probably right around $3,000. So if it was conveyed to the land bank, we would take it with those back due taxes that we would have to satisfy as the new owner.
Okay.
So that's an economic or financial decision that the board has to kind of make when they analyze this property. Okay, is this something that if we advance the funds now, would we be able to recoup those if and when we go to turn the property around to another owner? And that's when I do foreclosure work for lenders. I always say, hey, look, you need to make sure that before you accept the deed in lieu of foreclosure, that it comes with expenses. Is this something that you guys have done your due diligence to make sure that when you sell it to a third party, that's got to be part of your purchase price? You got to try to recoup that as much as possible.
Okay, so we're saying about approximately $3,000.
About $3,000, I would think.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the solicitor's report.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aaron, on to unfinished business.
All right, so we have a couple offers to purchase some vacant lots. The first one being 742 East 7th Street. We have an offer from Jacqueline Amon at 746 East 7th Street to purchase the adjoining property to her for use as a side yard and possible garden for $700. She seems to be an upstanding property owner, no current complaints or issues, and it's the only offer we've received after sending outside lot letters about 4.5 months ago.
And is there's 744 property?
I believe she is the neighboring property right next door at 746. I do not believe there's a 744 property.
Okay.
Aaron, she's property, does it look like?
Sorry, Chris, you broke up.
Aaron, she mentioned that she's been taking care of the property. Does it look like that she's up?
It's hard to tell. This property is on our list of property maintenance for the contractor, so it's tough to determine whether or not she's actually the one taking care of it or not. PRI doesn't respond to us to let us know which ones they are or are not mowing. They just send us a bill, so it's tough. They could have mowed and weed whacked, and she could be mowing. We don't really know.
I did drive by yesterday just to check out the situation, because I was wondering if there was a property in between. I did notice a lot of not debris, but just a lot of articles, let's say, outside of the house. Is a 746. I was more hopeful that perhaps we would have seen a proposal instead of just a side lot, maybe, going to put a shed up, or I guess we're coming back to the same old as we're doing a lot of side lots, but we're not seeing as much development. But I don't see any reason not to accept this offer. I mean, we don't want to be in the business of holding on to these side lots if someone's interested in them. But just going forward, it's just something maybe when we go to some of these land bank presentations, that we'll get some more information on how we best go about trying to do that moving forward. She may have plans to use some of the articles that she has outside her house as building a shed down the road to store them. As I recall, this is a neighborhood that really needs help. So the fact that we have a homeowner that wants to maintain a side lot is a good sign, I guess.
I don't really see a reason to, it's a lot between two houses.
Right.
And there's
I also don't see any reason not to, Chris. Just wanted to make some public comment.
other questions or comments on offer for 740? Could I get a motion to?
Yes, Chris, I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the offer for 742 East 7th Street.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next is we have 1135
Next one.
East 11th Street. We received an offer from an adjoining property owner. He owns a rental property adjacent to the lot, and he filled out the property rehabilitation report, but he also, in doing that, provided some excellent detail as far as what he plans to do to the property and how much he feels it's going to do. He's offering $700 to purchase the lot adjacent to it, like I said, his rental property, but he also says it's going to take him $3,200. He's going to cut down a tree, and fix some fence on the property, and then maintain the property as well as an entertainment and side lot to his adjacent property.
So Aaron, does he own 1145, which is connected to, I believe, On Deck, which is no longer, that's permanently closed?
Yes, he does own the adjacent building, which was the On Deck bar. Mm-hmm. I believe he is working on something with that property, but I'm not sure. Zoning would have more information on any conversations they've had with him in reusing that parcel.
That was my next question, was, what was that property zoned for? But again, we had the conversation last month that when we make these decisions, that we're not saying that by making these decisions that we are the authority that's going to be able to give permission to put whatever they do on that property.
Right.
That's a different governing body, whether it be code or zoning, that's not a decision for the land bank.
Yeah. We're selling the lot as a side lot, them knowing that it is deed restricted, that they can't combine it for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
so of course then that falls back on zoning, that whatever they could do to the property in the interim during that period of time.
Okay. Well, the property is very well maintained. 1145 is very well maintained. I'm just sad to see him cutting down those 2 trees because they benefit the property right now, but going down the road, if he wants to, in 5 years, do something different, then obviously he'd have to remove those trees. So I'm fine with this, fine with going through with this and accepting this proposal.
I agree, Darlene, he's building 1145, I think it appears to be well kept. I guess he's taking
You
not a
cut-
whole lot of other use for this lot either, so.
Chris, you keep cutting out.
No, I'm good, I'm good. Did you have a motion to approve?
So I'll make a motion to approve this purchase agreement.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On to, and up on the donate.
All right, so as Gene had mentioned, 2236 Warfel has run into a little bit of a snag with the donation. She reached out to me last week to notify me that she was not going to be able to pay the taxes on it as part of the donation after having to sink some money into some other properties that she ultimately is probably going to lose and has lost. So she doesn't have the money right now to pay those taxes. So I wanted to put it on, I told her I'd talk to the board, so I placed it on the agenda for discussion. You know, it hasn't been our practice that the land bank would acquire donated properties with past due taxes, utilizing our ability to ask for abatement and exoneration of those taxes, considering that it would potentially lead to a slew of other donations of people wanting to get past not having to pay their taxes. You know, in talking with code enforcement, they were sorry to hear that, you know, she wouldn't pay the taxes, and we kind of hit a snag there, knowing that the condition of this property is of such that it gets generous amount of complaints from the neighboring property owners. So I just wanted to float it in front of the board for discussion and consideration of whether or not you would be open to accepting the donation and then working through getting an exoneration of the taxes through the taxing body, or as such as decided by the board.
So Aaron, I for one, I don't think I'm ready to set that sort of precedent here. I'm hesitant to do that. And when I look at this property especially, it's in a mixed area. There is some potentially, could be some light industrial use for this and the lot next to it. You know, there could be potential reuse down the road for a higher and better use. I'll turn it over to the others, but I'm not comfortable setting a precedent where we just start taking on properties that are a couple years behind in taxes.
I'd have to concur with you, Chris. I would be very reluctant at this point for us to accept that. I know we have one other time, I believe, on a property on German Street, but I don't think that the taxes were.
It was like 1 year.
It was
a
1 year,
special
yeah.
circumstance.
And it was a special circumstance, so I don't feel that I'm comfortable either at this point. I'd like to look into this a little bit more from us as a body to see even what other land bank policies are out there that might address this issue. Kathy, I don't know if you have a comment on this too?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't know that we're in a position just to take on property, particularly if it has outstanding debt or taxes or liens. It just puts us even further behind in our ability to just to have the revenue to do other projects, so I don't know, this just seems to, I've not been on the land bank long enough to know what your past practices have been, but this is a concern of mine as well.
Yeah, and it's not as if we don't have the right to go case by case. I mean, if it makes sense in a certain case, we can always take a look at that. But yeah, I don't like the precedent. And in this case, there might be a private sector solution. I mean, this is just one lot between this and a couple of manufacturing facilities. If this were to go through the process and a tax sale, you know, you might have somebody step up and say, hey, I want to secure that space while it's available. So,
That's what
yeah, I think we're all in agreement here, so.
All right, well, like I said, I just wanted to put it in front of you for discussion and on the matter, so I can get back to her as far as how the board stands. And if it continues down this road, it's likely that it'll end up on the judicial tax sale list next year if she doesn't pay anything.
Mm-hmm.
So do you need us to decline, formally decline a request, Aaron, or what do you need us to do for this?
Yeah, if you know, we could have a motion, you know, denying the request to accept the property with delinquent taxes.
So I'm willing to make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor of denying this request?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there you go, Aaron. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, so next on the agenda is a request for assistance. I've had some conversations with people from the Eagles Nest Leadership Corporation in regards to a couple properties they own, residential structures at 1114 and 1116 East 12th Street, seeking some assistance in demolishing those structures to advance their plan for activities associated with their training programs and schooling needs there at the Eagles Nest Leadership Corporation. So I told him I'd put it in front of the board. You know, right now, you know, looking at the budget, you know, we're still behind on getting these properties that we have in our work plan and moving that forward. So at the current time, I can't say we have any additional demolition funds that we could allocate toward it, but certainly wanted to have it, you know, for board consideration. And we do have representatives from Eagles Nest Leadership Corporation in the audience to speak if the board would desire.
So I guess before we even begin this conversation, although I do not want to have the conversation end, but because I am on the Erie School Board and we have a great working relationship with Eagles Nest, but we also lease the part of the property that from the Eagles Nest for the instruction that the Erie School District provides in cooperation with the Eagles Nest. So at this point, without discussing it with I didn't get a chance to discuss it with Attorney Sundberg or with our solicitor, so I do feel I need to recuse myself from a vote today until I receive some guidance on whether or not that would be a conflict of interest for me, because certainly that is something that's going to benefit our Erie School District students, that they would have a place.
I guess my concern or question is, do we have a policy in place for requests like this? This is, I mean, very comparable to a grant request. Is that something that the land bank has done in the past? And if so, is there policy and review requirements for this kind of outside request?
We do not have any past practice or any past requests, and there is no policy on it. I know other land banks, you know, accept requests such as this from municipal governments and other nonprofit type agencies, you know, on a case-by-case basis, but this is the first of such for the Erie Land Bank.
Yeah, I don't have, I mean, I think what the Eagles Nest does is wonderful work, but without clear policy in place, so this is these types of requests are reviewed compared to any other request, I would feel, I'm hesitant to make any decision on something like this that seems so outside of our wheelhouse at the moment. Unless I'm new to the land bank, but that's my concern, is that this isn't sort of a fair and open process for anyone. It's just on a case-by-case basis, and we've not had an opportunity as a board to talk about how we would review such requests.
So I agree with what Kathy's saying, and I think it goes to the larger question of setting a time to get our conflict of interest policy in place, our due diligence, our donation policy. We continue, and we're all busy, and I know why. We're all running in 100 different directions here, but we really need to put some discussions on the agenda and adopt some formalized processes for some of this, because I too am not comfortable just trying to recall how did we do this last year, or have we ever done this, or there's really no playbook that exists. We need to formalize some of this process. And so because I don't want to hold up good programs and good projects either, but I feel we need to tighten this up as well. So I don't know, Aaron, if sometime in the next month or two we can start to put things on agenda where we can formalize certain processes.
Okay, yeah, I can absolutely, we'll look at getting some stuff, if not on the November agenda, certainly for the December agenda, for some recommendations and other processes involved around this, and kind of some best practices from other land banks and situations that we can try to build that policy so we can have this in place. I certainly agree, and we'll work toward getting that so we can take these requests as they come in.
Okay.
So should we be
I think it'd be
looking?
good too if there were more of us in attendance, maybe next month, more of us to review this, and just month worked out to be a little tough for everybody's schedule, but
No, I
do we
absolutely.
want to? I mean, there's really not. I mean, is this a formal ask at this point? Can we table this till next month?
No, we can certainly table it till next month, or, whatever, you decide to table it at, but I would certainly agree to tabling it would, appear to be the best option for today.
Well, I'd like to see how it's going to be built into the work plan, and to make sure that we have the funds, and that we're, again, what would be the process for something that comes along once we have an established work plan? Do we have a contingency line item in our work plan that we set aside a certain amount for this type of thing? Or do we say, no, a work plan's already been established, sorry, we can't help you till next year? These are the kind of questions that we need to all agree on, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly think there's agreement there, Chris.
So Chris, would you like me to make a motion to table this then? Is that what we're suggesting?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to table this request until such time when we can put some policies into place.
Yes. I'll second that motion.
All in favor of tabling the request?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, Aaron, then let's just make sure that we don't skip another month here. Let's try to nail this down next month.
All right, will do.
And then, so if there are no other comments on that, let's go ahead and move to the 2021 tax sale transactions.
All right, so I sent out, as far as the judicial tax sale and the land bank's ability to option properties off of the tax sale, I've provided a list of 24 properties that we have gone out and taken a look at, and I shared a file with some pictures for the properties that are listed on this list. These are properties that are either vacant or blighted, depending upon their situation. These are the properties that I would like to have a motion to accept that the land bank put an option on. given the ability that they stay on the list and remain vacant until such time as the tax sale comes around November 17th and 18th, that the land bank would then provide the funds to the tax sale to acquire these properties through the option agreement. These are, I mean, there's a mix of properties here. We certainly have, some that, like I said, the blighted properties have been on code enforcement's radar, have been blighted by the BPRC, and, certainly need to be addressed sooner than later. Some other properties that have fallen, deceased owners that are now sitting vacant that more than likely could be on the blighted property list if time allowed, and then some other properties that are in some areas where, as good stewards of these properties, we could vet new owners and give them, good life, within the neighborhood.
So I did have one question about the lot on 26th Street. I was wondering if you could give me more information on that. There is an alley in the back. It would be a great place for a garage. That I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's in the, it's a vacant lot. They had already demolished the structure. There is a off-street access to it. Mm-hmm. It's in that center city area, kind of added it to the list as the ability that we could acquire it, and hold it maybe for future development or, such. Certainly it's someone we could pass up, giving it is a vacant lot, and it may fall onto the repository list that we could pick up at a later time. It's certainly not one that's on the high level of priority to acquire off this list. It was a thought as being in the area that it is in.
Okay. And there's a large lot on the corner there of 26th and French. I wonder if you have any idea who owns that. It's quite
I'm not familiar
quite a
with that
sizable lot across catty corner from the Vets Memorial Stadium. Okay. The only other question I had is, what kind of position are we in with these homes that we don't know whether they're vacant or not?
The properties on this list, I've sent out the inspectors from the Redevelopment Authority to look at the properties and do their due diligence as far as determining that they are vacant. These are the ones that they can say are vacant. There is one question on the property at 427 Liberty that we're not sure if it is vacant. There's also another one, and that's I've noted with the question marks as far as vacancy. I just wanted to put them on there that if they do, of course, when we option the property, unless we act on it with a check to the McDonald Illig prior to the sale, we don't exercise that option. But, it's one of those, if our option is there, then we can exercise it. At 934 West 17th Street, it's blighted. And for all intents and purposes, it should not be occupied, but the inspectors noted that it appears somebody is in there. The other one, also at 926 East Avenue, it's kind of been up and down. Right now, it appears somebody is in the store, and there might be somebody living in the apartment. Whether or not it's by the owner, that we don't know. Okay. But of course, those are ones that certainly we would not option off the list if they were vacant at that time.
Okay.
Or if they were occupied. At that time.
Okay, yes. Thank you. That was my question.
Any other questions? Chris, you still there?
Yeah, no other questions for me.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, I just would like a motion to put in those option agreements with the county so that they're aware we're interested.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Kathy. And I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. And I'll move on to the 2022 work plan. I just put this back on the agenda just for conversation purposes. I did send this over to the Erie County Land Bank Board of Directors for their governance meeting, which was last Wednesday. I spoke with Christy Mahaney, who is the director of the County Land Bank following that meeting. We had a good discussion. She said the board is receptive to the proposed work plan, as aggressive as it may be. They certainly understand, that the city has its own set of problems and is trying to get those under control. The numbers are well within what we have asked for in the past, so that is fine. The one question that came up that she brought up that, you told her we're certainly working on is a couple of the board members did ask how the city of Erie is contributing to the land bank's plans. We talked about the housing plan and, the authorities asked to that, and then that the city, we definitely addressed that the city, needs to start contributing to the blighted problem and trying to get some funding on that way. But, they're going to put this on the meeting, not this Wednesday, the following Wednesday, to hopefully get it approved by the Erie County Land Bank so that then we can finalize our 2022 budget for the Erie Land Bank. So that's just an update as far as that goes. No real board action, just an update. And that is all I have.
Questions or comments on that?
It would be nice if we had some more revenue.
Have any other business?
Nope, that is it.
Okay. Board, any other comments?
Nothing from me.
Nope, I'm good too. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Everything. I'll look forward to the update.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.